What's up, everybody, and welcome to Read the Bible with me. I'm Stan Jr., and today we're looking at chapter 2 of the book of Esther. If you're new here, go ahead and click the link in the description and turn on your notification bell. I want you to become a subscriber today if you're not, and if you are a Bible Club member, thank you so much for supporting this ministry, helping us even during these really trying times, helping us serve our brothers and sisters in Christ that are living in hostile situations. And so I'm grateful for you and your support during this time. And I'm thankful that you even help us buy Bibles and sending them to them, and also helping us send missionaries and supporting missionary families. And you just help a lot, and you don't even know that $10 a month really goes to help a lot of people. So I'm grateful and thankful for it. Let's look at chapter 2 of the book of Esther. First verse in chapter 2. It says, "After these things, when the anger of King Ahasuerus had abated," meaning, it simmered down, "he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what had been decreed against her. Then the king's young men who attended him, said, 'Let beautiful young virgins be sought out for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom to gather all the beautiful young virgins to the harem in Susa, the capital, under custody of Haggai, the king's eunuch, who is in charge of the women. Let their cosmetics be given to them,'" meaning make them pretty, "and let the young woman who pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti." This pleased the king, and he did so. So they're on the search for a new woman for him, a new queen for him, because he didn't like how Vashti disrespected him, if you want to even call that. Now there was a Jew in Susa, the citadel, whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, son of Shimei, son of Kish, a Benjamite, who had been carried away from Jerusalem among the captives, carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had carried away. So he's been out for a while, and he was bringing up Hadassah, that is Esther, the daughter of his uncle, for she had neither father nor mother. The young woman had a beautiful figure and was lovely to look at. And when her father and her mother died, Mordecai took her as his own daughter. So when the king's order and his edict were proclaimed, and when many young women were gathered in Susa, the citadel, in custody of Haggai, Esther also was taken into the king's palace and put in custody of Haggai, who had charge of the women. So this wasn't a free will thing. They were almost taken captive, and said, "Hey, you're gonna be seen by the king to see if he likes you." And so this is, where it looks like the king's in charge. You see already God is getting involved. And so Esther also was taken into the king's palace and put in custody by Haggai, who had charge of the woman. And the young woman pleased him and won his favor. Look at that. And he quickly provided with her cosmetics and her portion of food, and with 7 chosen young women from the king's palace, and advanced her and her young woman to the best place in the harem. Esther had not made known her people or kindred, for Mordecai had commanded her not to make it known. So she listened to her uncle saying that, he's like, do not let them know that you're a Jew. He probably thought it would hurt her chances, but he said, please don't let them know. And she honored that and didn't. So every day, Mordecai walked in front of the court of the harem to learn how Esther was, what was happening to her. He was still trying to keep watch over his niece. It's really his daughter at this point. Now, when the turn came for each young woman to go in to King Ahasuerus, after being 12 months under the regulations for the women, since this was the regular period of their beautifying, 6 months with oil of myrrh and 6 months with spices and ointments for women, when the young woman went in to the king in this way, she was given whatever she desired, to take with her from the harem to the king's palace. In the evening, she would go in, and in the morning, she would return in the second harem in custody of Shahagaz, the king's eunuch, who was in charge of the concubines. She would not go in to the king again unless the king delighted in her, and she was summoned by name. When the turn came for Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her as his own daughter, to go into the king, she asked for nothing except what Haggai, the king's eunuch, who had charge over the woman, advised. Now Esther was winning favor in the eyes of all who saw her. Everyone thought she was the one. It's one thing when the guy likes you, but when everybody likes you, you see the Lord is operating here. Everyone just saw her and was delighted by her, and they were looking at her like, man, you have got what it takes to be the queen. And so when Esther was taken to the king Ahasuerus into his royal palace in the 10th month, which is the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign, the king loved Esther more than all the women, and she won grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Then the king gave a great feast for all his officials and servants. It was Esther's feast. He also granted a remission of taxes to the provinces and gave gifts with royal generosity. Now, what is very important is we notice that Esther doesn't sit and you don't hear Esther saying anything about how beautiful she is, and she was beautiful. The writer says that she was beautiful. She had a beautiful figure. She was beautiful to look at. But don't see her taking pride in her look, because she knows she had nothing to do with it. You have nothing to do with your look, so you can't take pride in it. You can be happy about them, but you can, but don't take pride in your physical appearance. And so she gets favor with him, not because of something she's done, but because of something that someone else did. Her mom and dad did something and created her. And so now she's reaping the benefits of something that someone else has done, and God is using that beauty for his glory. And we're going to see that. But we see first that she got favor and grace with the king. And now, when the virgins were gathered together the second time, Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate. Esther had not made known her kindred or her people as Mordecai had commanded her. For Esther obeyed Mordecai just as when she was brought up by him. Very important point. She obeyed Mordecai just as if she was a child. You see? And that's why it probably kept her safe for this amount of time. In those days, as Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate, Bigthan and Teresh, two of the king's eunuchs who guarded the threshold, became angry and sought to lay hands on King Ahasuerus. And this came to the knowledge of Mordecai, because he was always going up by the gate, listening and trying to see her and trying to make sure she's all right. One time he went up there, the two guards were talking about killing the king. And he heard about that. And he told it to Queen Esther, and Esther told the king in the name of Mordecai. When the affair was investigated and found to be so, the men were both hanged in the gallows. And it was recorded in the book of Chronicles in the presence of the king. So now not only has Esther gotten favor with the king, now Mordecai, because he saved the king's life, is now moving into favor. Do you see how God's hand? See, favor comes before anything else in life. God will give you favor before you get money. God will give you favor before you get what you've been so working hard for and believing God for and trusting God for. He's going to give you favor along the way. So pay attention to the favor that God gives you and be grateful for it. When you have favor with your boss, favor with your friend, favor with your neighbor, favor with people at church, favor is all around you. When you get favor, be grateful for it. Don't act like you deserve it, because favor is unmerited. You cannot earn it. That's why it's a favor. They did something for you because you didn't deserve it, right? And so pay attention to that. That was chapter 2 of the book of Esther. It's getting really, really good, and I'm grateful to be reading along with a person like you, someone that also loves to read the Bible like I do. Thank you so much for reading. Next time I read with you, we'll be reading chapter 3. And if you'd like to become a Bible Club member, click the link in the description. Become one today. We're believing God for 100 patrons to support this ministry. Thank you, and I will see you next time. God bless you. Peace.